So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dean Hebel, Executive Director of TATT at the Top, and glad to have you with us for our TATT Chat today. Again, I apologize for a little bit of lateness of getting everyone on the call. We usually like to have some time to visit in advance, but unfortunately we couldn't do that today as we were getting our special guests coordinated through their AV, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm seeing some old familiar faces on here, and I'm very glad to have everyone on today. If you would like to put your name and organization in the chat, please feel free. And it's always good to know who is on the call. And today we are very excited to be talking about an issue that is really pretty on fire here in the upstate, and that is independent films in the upstate being a hub for the film industry, and what that can mean for this region in terms of economically, in terms of recognition, and in terms of opportunities for people in a wide array of careers and fields. And one of the spearheads of that has been Dr. Gail Awan, who has now been here, I can't believe it, 2 years with the Urban League. I feel like she's been here 10, Gail, some days, and some days it's like you just got here. But you have been a great friend, and really someone who has been hit the ground running 2 years ago, and has really seen opportunities and brought opportunities to our region. And so today, you have, and I know you'll talk about it, you have the big film workshops and symposium starting tomorrow and running Saturday in Spartanburg. And because of that, we have a couple special guests who are with us that you will introduce and we'll have a chance to hear from. But I'm going to turn it over first to you and let you kind of share a little bit about what you've been had going on with the film industry work here, and what the symposium is about this weekend.
Thank you, Dean. It's great to be on this call with everyone. You know, there's a lot of folks on the call actually that are friends, champions, and allies, and some folks that are going to be participating in our film symposium tomorrow. I do want to push back just a little bit on what you said, Dean. I think you sort of talked about the independent film industry, and really what we are focused on is the South Carolina film, television, and entertainment industry, right? So this initiative really encompasses all of that. And I think that certainly our friend Marty, who's on the call now, can certainly attest to that. We're going to look really holistically at what this industry means to the economic development of the upstate. Absolutely. Our office, we're here right now in our office in Greenville, but we have our office at in Spartanburg at the George Dean Johnson School of Business, specifically there because we realize that this industry really is an economic driver for the entire upstate. And I see that our mayor is on from Anderson. We've got our folks from across the upstate. So I know that this is something everybody that's interested in tourism, economic development, and business will be interested in. And instead of me just talking about it today, certainly many of you have been, we've been in rooms talking about this together. We've been to Prunk Studios, but because the film symposium is tomorrow, I'm so excited that one of our honorees and a presenter is actually visiting in town, and he is here, Mr. Mikey D. I met Mikey through Randy Alexander. So the way we're going to do it, just for a few minutes that we have here, is Randy's going to introduce Mikey. Mikey will tell you a little bit about himself, and then Randy and I are going to ask Mikey some questions. Dean, Justine, if you can help monitor the chat in case there are some questions specifically for Mikey, but we want you to understand why this industry professional flew in last night is on this call today and will be participating tomorrow. So you may know him as he starts to tell a little bit more about who he is. So I'll kick it over to Randy. Tell us, Randy, a little bit about Mikey.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you, everyone. It's nice to talk to you. I've heard your names from Gail many times and communicate with you. Nice folks. Hope to see you soon. First of all, I'm a resident of South Carolina and Spartanburg. And in my background, quite frankly, is I've done everything from sell corporate jets to being part of a huge company that you heard about, Costco Corporation, in marketing. But I've retired, and during my time of retirement, I started doing some podcasts with a friend from London, and Mikey saw me podcast, and also some of my social media. And he got hold of me because I reached out and said, I need a creator, I need a content creator to help me with doing a little podcast. Well, lo and behold, I meet Mikey, and we head off, and it went from a little podcast to a TV show. And so, Mikey's out in California, and we went to Orlando on an event, and we shot a couple of shows in Orlando, and my show Fearless Truth. And then I said, Mike, you gotta come to Spartanburg, you gotta come to South Carolina, you gotta come to South Carolina. But we can do it in Orlando, we can watch the game. No, come to South Carolina, come to South Carolina. I got him here, and he's fallen in love with Spartanburg in Greenville. He's seen more of Spartanburg in Greenville, but so we are very excited to have him here. He's a very dear friend. So is Gail. Gail, thank you for everything, because we have done a lot together, and thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask everyone here to lean into our friend the owl. I know some of our voices are a little muffled, so we want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay, great.
So I'd like to introduce Michael Dinko. Mikey G is his name, all his friends call him, and he is the creator, and he's the producer of Pitbulls and Parolees on Animal Planet and Discovery Channel, and he'll go more into that. But he's a wonderful person. He has a strong interest. He's got projects he's looking to do, and so I'm going to let him talk, and you're going to find him very fascinating. Hello. Hi, guys. Can everyone see me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll just talk into you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm Michael Dinko. My friends call me Mikey.
Hold on, Mikey. You're still a little muffled. Gail, if it's possible to get him closer to the microphone.
Let's, Mike, why don't we switch?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think if you go where Gail is, we'll be able to hear you better. Musical
I'm
chair.
curious, I'm just curious, have any of you seen Pitbulls and Parolees? Put it in the chat. I'm familiar with that series. Okay.
So, hello again, guys, and thank you for having me. And it's great to meet you all in your little boxes. And, what's exciting to me about, just creation, the creation part of, bringing real stuff to real people is kind of what I specialize on. And what I find is there's a lot of amazing people doing amazing things that they're doing it for the right reasons. They're not trying to do it to be on TV or to be a TV star. And that's kind of what cued me into Randy. Long story short, Randy should have died of cancer about 5 years ago. He shouldn't be with us anymore. And it intrigued me because he seemed like he had so much life in him left. And I had that sense of confidence in him that he wasn't done in life. So I, started kind of like engaging with him on, what he would like to do, what he thought was important. And we kind of lined up really, really good in, I'm in the Los Angeles area. So I'm in the pool of sharks. But what I had done about 15 years ago is I had created a show about rescuing dogs. And that's kind of basically how it started. The program that I was working with actually took ex-cons or parolees to work and rehabilitate the dogs that were rescued. So there was such an amazing dynamic going on because animals don't care who you are or what you did. Animals just need love. They're pure love. And they're the only creatures that love themselves or love you more than themselves. So I've always been a dog lover, and I witnessed the program firsthand. And as a dog lover, all I seen on the news was all the horrible things that happened. This pit bull killed this nun, and oh my, and yeah, it is scary. Until I got my own, and I figured out it was the person holding the leash. That's ultimately what determines, just like a kid. Let your kid run around loose. See what happens. They're gonna, yeah.
I mean, were you already in the film industry? I know you do lots of different things.
I was actually in the music business at the time. I toured with a lot of great artists that I feel very blessed to, like Ricky Martin, Shakira, Ringo Starr, and a few other bands. And you know, I get my joy of entertaining people. But you know, half of my life it was all about me, 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 me. And I knew there was something more than that. And I guess dogs were my soft spot or my kryptonite, call it what you will. And I seen this program that's so powerful. I seen guys that were so wrecked and ruined and thought they had no chance at life. And to watch them even crack a smile and pet a dog and play with it and not even want to go home. I was like, this is amazing. This needs to be on TV. This needs to be a show. And I'll get into the, when we do the program this weekend a little more about it, but nobody cared. They were like, Mikey, you're a rock star, go on tour, you know nothing about TV. And by the way, you don't care about people or parolee.
Who is the nobody? Would you say nobody cares?
Well, I don't want to,
Like industry?
yeah. Yeah. You know, again, I worked in the entertainment business at a high level, so I did know. I actually had friends that were executive producers and directors. So automatically I went to them to share the idea, thinking, I got something. This is going to be great. And remember, this was 14 years ago. And they were like, well, I don't think it's a show. I think you're wasting your time. Nobody cares about people and parolees. And it broke my heart, honestly, it did, because I cared about it, but it took more than that. And I actually lost some friends over it because the people that I thought that could help me get into the next stage.
Mike, what drives you? What is it? Without knowing you, you're really not a money-driven person. To me, you want purpose in life, like I do, and Gail. We want to help other people. Tell me what your purpose here in upstate South Carolina. What do you plan to want to do?
I think there's a way to give back, and everything, at least I'm involved with, never starts with, let's make a lot of money. Because really, that will happen. That will surround you once you get the right synchronicity. And to go back to the show, what I thought was important was to show the evolution. Now, you could watch the news at that point and see bad dogs doing bad things or bad guys doing bad things. But what I did was out of every bad story, there was 100 great stories. But nobody cared about that. So I had to take it upon myself. And again, I don't want to throw nobody into the bus, no networks, because it's not about that. But and I went in and hired my own crew. I put my and I basically filmed the pilot on my own. And so a lot of people need to see it to believe it, and I understand that. So once I put that on, in motion, everybody started to get it. And they were all like, this is genius. What? How could you ever do this? And I was like, I was on the brink of tears because nobody helped me. So I really felt alone in it. But what it was is I loved it, and I was going to do it no matter what. And when they said no, I just said next. I'm going to the next place.
Do you think that
So, Mikey, Randy, if I could interrupt for a second, Mikey, a couple quick things. One is I know you have been a director and producer, but I'm sure you also are used to taking direction. So if you could please, you get muffled when you are close to the middle. If you could get a little bit closer to Gail's computer, kind of the middle
Oh,
of the computer, it seems like when you're right there, your sound is much better.
like right here?
Yes, that is much
Okay,
better.
perfect.
Yes, so if you can kind of stay there, we're just making sure we can all hear you real well. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the location that you all chose for the Pitbulls show, and how you worked with the community there, and what that would be, what that's like if you're here in the upstate working, whether it's in Spartanburg or Greenville or wherever.
Gotta turn my thing back on in a second. But I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I did. I couldn't know. I didn't really look at it. Oh. Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was a unique situation because it was a real program. This was not something I said, hey, let's get a bunch of ex-cons and a bunch of dogs that need rescued and make a TV show. This was already existing. So by no means was I the brainchild of this. I was a witness that thought if I had the right team and, the right resources, I could share this with the world and they would kind of feel the same thing I did. So the show was in California for the first 3 seasons. That's where the rescue was. And to tell you the truth, there wasn't a lot of support with the community on that. They were glad there were people taking care of dogs needed to be rescued, and they were glad we were giving people jobs, but they didn't want really anything to do with it. It was easier for people not to understand how hard it was. But once they did, it's amazing. Nobody let us do it alone. We were infiltrated with companies, endorsements, product placement, so from every aspect of the show, from the computer she used to type in the rescues, to the car she drives, to the leash that the dogs use. So really it depends on the media that we're producing. But it was amazing once we put it out there that there was a lot of people that wanted to help. They just didn't know how.
Met with, what's your sense of their interest in dynamic going on with it, and what kind of ideas you have for what we're gonna do in South Carolina, Spartanburg particularly?
Yeah, I find that everybody is so nice. They're in position to help, and I think it takes people like myself and Gail for all the hard work she does to pull people together for a common goal. Have something to point to. Again, there's a lot of people that always ask me, how can I help, Mikey? How can I get involved? So, the movie and the TV industry has changed a lot over the years. Back in the day, you had to pay Coca-Cola to show their logo. It was a very strict, a lot of red flags. But nowadays, they actually pay us to be part of that demonstration. And again, the difference between commercials that come on between act breaks and somebody that you love on TV that's using your product or driving your car, whether it's a BMW or a Ford, it goes a long ways, because what people buy into are the characters. They're following the journey of the characters. So, again, we weren't trying to be like this litter of, hey, we're using all these products. All these products had a great impact on the work that we were doing, at least for that show. So I always think there's room and there's ways that everybody could get involved, not just financially, but again, product placement and having that almost endorsement from your favorite person on TV or your dog. We had, I can't even tell you how many dog food companies were like, can we give you free dog food? And I'm like, thank you. We absolutely would. But, again, if I didn't set that foundation, they would just go on their happy way. So I like to think here in Spartanburg, everybody is just so amazing. And I think The Film Commission has done an amazing job on setting up the parameters. I just got back from Africa, from Ghana, Africa, because they were interested in us bringing a movie studio to Africa. And their big thing was, we don't like the way America and Hollywood portrays Africans. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate that. But their whole big thing was, like, I'd like to bring to Spartanburg is, we want to train our people, Mikey. We want to train the kids that turn into the camera guys, the grips, the writers, the actors, the musicians. And I just thought that they were really on point on that. We kind of got paused with the COVID thing, and there are some logistic problems that they have because, obviously we had the space, we had 40 acres to do what we wanted, but to get, the transportation there it was rough. So that's where we kind of left it off. And we actually were going to bring in airships, which we call blimps, which would actually be a green way of traveling from the main international airport to the studios. And on the way, I was like, we will promote things on the way with the airships. It'll be like a flying billboard. And they just thought it was great. But, again, the logistics have to be there. So back to Spartanburg, I think you guys have done a great job of getting all that in place. I am aligned with some of the people in Mark Wahlberg's camp, and I don't know if you know what he's doing in Las Vegas, but he just started a major studio in Las Vegas. But what took them so long was setting up the parameters, like the credit rebate, the tax rebates, and making it friendly for producers and directors to go in there and make a film. Because at the end of the day, it is about money. And that's why they go to Georgia. I spent the last 8 years in New Orleans, and they got a great rebate. So that's why you see a lot of these products being made there.
And you mentioned that, or Gail mentioned that it's films and full-length pictures, but also TV and advertisements and things of that nature. What do you think the opportunities? And well, maybe can you talk a little bit about the differences between if you're producing and having a feature film in your community? We've had a number of them here in the upstate over the years. Of course, Charleston has quite a lot of them. But the difference between that and shooting a show like your Pitbull show that is, I guess, a reality show, but also a series television.
The essence of the creation will obviously be a shorter span on a movie. Movies are, anywhere from 30 days to 9 months sometimes. We also have some films that we will be doing down here based on the tax credits. But what is lacking down here is the studio space. And if you guys do, you should definitely Google and see what Mark Wahlberg has done in Vegas and how they're bringing that whole community together. And the biggest players are on board. What their big challenge was setting up the parameters of the credit rebate and the tax rebate, because Vegas was like, no, why should we? But they've found the happy medium, and now that's going to be the next Hollywood. They're not going to be, nothing's filmed in LA no more because it's super expensive. And there's a lot of, red tape. So that's why people work around the country. And I think what we need to do here is establish something where we have essence. We're not just putting out just quick films and this and that. It's not just a hit and run. I think what we need to do is start establishing South Carolina as a place where not only people are real, they're loving, and they're successful. And we could have just a little piece of the pie. We're not trying to compete with, the giant studios, but what we do is want to offer producers like me and directors in LA a chance to get out of that environment and work. Because when you're working on something so important that lives forever, you could tell on camera. So if you're not in sync with the city, the crew, the people, you're going to see that. You're going to see that in the end result. So I think the training needs to happen. There's such a vibrant community, a college community here, that we need to offer these guys a chance to intern on some shows, some movies, acting. We need to provide that platform, and I believe that would give people options to say, absolutely, you don't have to go to LA to learn how to be a producer. You don't have to go to, New York to become a model. It's all right here, obviously, with this group right here that I'm on with. I think what we need to do is just find out how it benefits everybody. And I think we're in a perfect situation to make it a win-win for everybody. Because again, when that guy in the movie's driving the BMW, that's the next thing. When they have them cool sunglasses, where did they get them sunglasses? It's so different than like when you're watching a TV show and you see a commercial come on. A commercial is selling you something. This is Tide, it makes your clothes white, this and that. So people kind of tune out or they go get a cup of coffee. But when you build it in a movie or a TV show, that's when people want it. They will research and find out what is he wearing? What is he driving? What are they eating? So it's almost like we don't sell, we undersell it, but we use it as the product placement at the right times. And I believe we're in a world right now where people don't want to be sold nothing no more. People know what they like, and you don't have to force it. And I think that's where a lot of big companies that I work with, they're like, they spend so much money to get such little results. Yeah, it is results, but it's nothing compared to when you get in sync with something that you believe in. Now,
Right.
I
So,
can,
Mikey, if I could switch off, we've got about 10 more minutes, so I don't want to
okay.
miss some opportunities to ask a couple questions that people in the chat have asked about. And one of those is related to, you mentioned about opportunities for interns and for people learning the business. Can you talk a little bit about that? We have a teacher who says she'd love to have her high school students intern with the shows. What have you seen that look like? And Gail, I know you are doing a lot with that too. But Mikey, can you talk a little bit about the entry level and how a student can learn different elements of the business?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you could learn from school. There's a lot you can learn from books and from teachers. But what I've noticed is there's nothing that is more powerful than when you're actually working on something real, and there are so many different positions in every aspect of entertainment that literally I've taken somebody who knows nothing, and by the end of the year, they are getting a high paying job as a camera guy or a grip or craft services. You like to make food? We need to eat. So there's always something, and at least for me and my projects, I'm a true believer in you don't have to know anything, but you have to have that inspiration and you have to have that passion for it because, again, it's a rough business sometimes. And if you try to get into it for the quick buck on demand, it's going to be a little rough ride. And, you got to be egoless, which is that's tough too. I still battle with that. But, again, I think that anybody that has something in their heart, we want to provide a platform for that. Now, whether or not they excel in it, that's up to the individual. But I think it's our job to at least pave the way. And that's why I love working with Gail, because she is all about creating these positions where people could get hands-on training. So I think it's super important. What I'd like to do is take it a step farther, is give them hands-on training on something that's real, that they could actually go out and see their name and go, wow. And their family would just be like, wow, what you've learned. And you'd be surprised how much you learn when you're excited about it. I learn still every day. So I always like to try to keep that inspiration going and give them purpose. We don't have enough purpose now. It's either you have money to know the right person, to get into the right guy. I don't know. I think we're living in a different world. I think I'm living proof. Trust me, I was a musician. I was a rock star. I did not have to care about stuff. I love dogs. That was my passion, or kryptonite, call it. but that's what got me through it because a lot of people shot me down. So I would say for anybody that is learning at any age, it's never too early. And there are programs that we're going to be making available to where people could actually start studying on this curriculum. And I'll be the first one to say I've trained people that now have better jobs than me. They don't even take my call no more. And I love that. I want that. I want them to be so great that they don't even call me back. That's when I know I'm doing the right job.
Great. David Dykes from Greenville Business Magazine has a question specifically about the tax rebates that has stalled a little bit in the legislature here in the upstate or in South Carolina. How you mentioned that is really a critical incentive for attracting the industry. What are some messages you would share with that we can share with the legislators as to why that is something that we should have passed here in South Carolina?
Well, I say we have the best track record. You can look at Georgia. Georgia's a perfect example. If you see the revenue that they are creating, because again, the 10 movies that would normally be made in Hollywood are being now made in Georgia or Louisiana. And it's because of that. So the numbers are there. They could look it up. So what I would say to them is look at the dynamics of the economical. Everybody that works needs to eat. Everybody needs to rent a car. Everybody needs a room. It's really a no-brainer. And again, I'm not the pioneer on this. There people are actively really succeeding in this. And I just think that we're in a perfect position to allow that to give us a little piece of that pie. And again, it is when at the end of the day, it is about money. That everybody's working with a budget. So some people will go places even if they don't like it because that's what fits their budget. I want a place where they're so happy to be at and they're getting the flexibility of that. That's when you're going to start getting 30,000 Mikey D's that will be begging to come here. Again, we just want to work with love and we want to work with passion and we don't want the Los Angeles has a lot of competition, let's face it. And you could see it in the products. Every product is molded after another product because that product worked. I think if the more independent producers we get here that have their own style is where we're really going to stand out. And that's where your legislators could really benefit off of. There's already role models out there that are working. So I think we give a little bit more by having that personalization and having that real feel, because that's what's missing in the world right now. Everybody's a robot. Everybody just does their thing and okay. But I want to create an experience. And when you create an experience, they're going to come back because they want that experience again.
Right.
So it is a starting block, but I think you guys are off to a good start. And I'm going to do my part to at least try to bring some stuff to life out of my heart, whether it makes money or not. I'm not worried about making money. I'm worried about the results. I'm worried about making an impact. I want somebody to watch my stuff and say, you changed my life. And I did that with pit bulls and parolees. I had guys that weren't even on parole saying, Mikey, how can I get on your show? I will go rob a bank right now. Can I get on your show? I'm like, no, don't do that. So, it just goes to show you, I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. But when one guy sees another guy succeeding, it really does open up the window because they feel like, wow, if they did it, I could do it.
Well, and that
And
also gets to Mikey to the issue around minority and folks of all ethnic and economic groups having opportunities to be in the industry, which I know is something that Gail is very passionate about because, as you said, if you see someone who is like you or who has a similar story having success, you're more likely to, feel like, oh, I can do that than if everybody is, very different from you who is in the business. So I think you bring a great a mindset there about the importance of diversity, in multiple ways, so people can have others that they can connect to. We just have a couple minutes, and I have a couple things to ask about. One is Winston has mentioned a couple times a concern about the fact that we don't have any large scale studios here, production studios in the upstate. Pronk Studio, which is opened, and I don't know if you've had a chance to tour yet. You probably have. If not, Gail will have you there this week. Is great, but do we need bigger studios, or are we able to have some of the impact and success that you've talked about without having that large production studio in our region?
You know, I will have to say that that's the one thing that we're lacking. And, you know, between myself and Randy and Gail, I know what they're doing. We are building a state-of-the-art studio, a virtual studio, because unfortunately, what is happening with films is they're all shot inside, a lot of them. You know, with technology today, you see them climbing a mountain, but they're in a studio with a green screen behind them or mocap. So it is important, and every film, no matter what it is, will need that kind of studio space. So yes, that is lacking, and I believe that Kronk has done Pronk has done a great job of being an example of how it could be, but it needs to be them times 5. We couldn't have enough of them, because what's going to happen is there's going to be an influx of people that these jobs and these projects are lined up so many months, maybe even years in advance. And there's just no way that one studio could handle that. So ourselves with our new studio, I personally have over 100 IPs. I have over probably $100 million worth of IPs that I personally have acquired or I own myself. So with our studio, I would never even need an outside client to I don't need their funding, I don't need their projects, but there needs to be that encouragement in that space where producers could come in with the top level technology and have everything that they would have if they went to Las Vegas now, or Georgia, or Los Angeles. So in that respect, yes, we're a little bit behind. And again, I think with the ambition that we have, and especially all of you here, this is the best time to get involved, because we see what's going to happen in the future. You know, it's kind of like a football team, a quarterback, when they say, go down and go left, and I'm going to throw the ball. You're hoping that guy's going to be where you throw the ball. We have to imagine we're throwing the ball and where we have to be. So in a way, yes, we must take advantage of every space available for different aspects of it, of course. But yes, we're building a great studio here that any top producer or director would love to work in. So we have to compete that way. That's super important.
Great. So last thing is we're closing up, a couple of very, very quick things. One is, you know, as you would expect, we've got people ready to pitch things already. So Anne Marie has mentioned that there is a program called Service Dogs for Veterans that sounds very similar to what you did with the parolees. So maybe there's an opportunity for a show about service dogs and veterans. Certainly important work for our, and we have a great veteran community in this region. And then, you know, you mentioned a lot of ingredients, and I know the symposium coming up this weekend is going to really hone in on some of those. And if Erica, if you could put the link into the chat for the symposium this weekend. If you are not planning to attend already and you have a chance, I would suggest there is some sessions tomorrow, but then the primary workshop sessions are all day on Saturday. And I would assume that a lot of what you talked about, Mikey, are going to be elements that are gone into a little bit more detail during the symposium.
Absolutely. You know, and to this service dog thing, I believe I know them guys. I know there are a couple different organizations doing that. And I'm so super all about that. You know, over the last 12 years, I've almost been a prisoner to my own hit show. You know, when it started, it was like, okay, great. Now I'll move on and do the next thing. And then it got more popular. And then it got, can we have more episodes? So literally, I do have a back pocket of these organizations that I cannot wait to kind of connect with and see how we could help them. So yes, I'd be very interested in digging into that one. I'm not sure if that's the same one, but anything that is helping out. You know, again, I just met a guy that started a thing called Guitars for Vets. And it's pretty amazing. It's based out of Nashville, but they have 40 chapters now. They have guys in there that will, it just breaks your heart. Some of them don't even have all their functions, but it's the music that, and they're not even trying to be great musicians, and it's the joy of it and being part of something. And when you see these guys sit there and from not knowing nothing to getting a guitar donated to them, and then having maybe, you know, a famous celebrity or musician teach them a song, it gives them purpose. It lights them up. They don't even know that they have a leg missing. And I don't even mean to say it like that, but it's true. Music is, it's therapy. It's healing. So in that respect, I am so open-minded, and I suggest that we definitely connect with them and see how we could get this on our slate, because we're building a slate of some super important shows. And I'm the kind of guy, and you're going to figure that out, that I don't like throwaway stuff. I get offered jobs all the time, the housewife of this and that and this. Let's get all these rich old ladies drunk and watch the drama. That I don't, that's not me. And I think that's,
and Mikey, if you, I'm sorry, but I'll cut you off at that because we do have to move on. But I will tell you, the next time I watch one of those Housewives of wherever show will be the first time. So I'm totally with you on that. And
you're not missing
a
nothing.
teaser for everybody. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in person this weekend, Mikey. But I want to know when we meet this weekend, who is a more interesting person, Ricky Martin or Ringo Starr? So I'll look forward to hearing more about that this weekend. And thank you so much for taking time with us, and Randy as well, and Gail, of course, always a great a friend of ours and a partner. And we are so thrilled for this effort happening. We will certainly continue to engage on this topic through our Upstate Connects and our TATT chats and our partnership with you. But good luck this weekend with the event and the workshop. And Annalise has put the registration information in for folks. The workshop on Saturday is free, so there is no cost. So
everything's free, so share it with your students and your creators.
Yes, so anyone you think might be interested in this field should be checking it out and should be there on Saturday. So with that, again, Mikey and Randy and Gail, thank you so much. And Justine, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dean. Thanks, Gail. I can't believe you left Shakira out of the mix. Shakira is obviously the most interesting one out of three. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that. You know, I was telling Randy a quick little story at lunch, and you know, I was married at the time, and she had a boyfriend, but we really did get along like that. But I'm a pro, she's a pro. But we were doing this video, and the director said, "Hey, Mikey, you know what'd be cool is if you guys were on the tour bus after a gig and you're kind of cuddling with Shakira." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like a great scene." And so we did it, and you know, we're pros, but she was super amazing. And we did get along. And the next day, I guess she had her boyfriend was some professional soccer player from Argentina, flew in to try to beat me up.
Oh, great.
So that's why I left her out of that one.
Great story. Those stories are the 100th reason to go to the symposium this weekend, right? All right. Thanks so much. I'm so sorry I'm going to miss it. I have the honor today of introducing our resource updates, and I just want to give a little call out. If we have someone from Waltz on the Zoom, get ready because you're up next. I hope that someone's here because it's a wonderful organization that people would want to hear about. But in the meantime, we're going to hear from Holly Pruitt. She is definitely here. I went to the Prisma. I was at the Prisma Leadership Prisma Health Leadership Conference, the last one, and they have a really good expo. I bought things. I bought books. I bought stuff. I bought jewelry from the West End Co-op, which is part of Prisma's, I'll just say rehab program and let you explain the rest of it. It's a really neat, unique program. All right, you're up.
So my name is Jacob Satterfield. I am supervisor for the West End Co-op program, and Holly Pruitt is the coordinator of it. So we are a resource for patients who or survived brain injury or stroke. We're part of Prisma Health, as Justine said. We're attached to the downtown brain injury program, and we're a small business, but really what we're focused on is just being a resource for patients coming through the brain injury and stroke program to train on return to work skills. We make jewelry, screen print T-shirts, do promo items, do all sorts of different things, and we have a staff that runs it, but we're primarily what the patients come through the program, and then we coach them and teach them how we do things, and it just kind of gives them skills and abilities that they can take to hopefully go back to work. But even if they don't, they can learn maybe some skills, things that can be hobbies to kind of enrich their life as they kind of move forward after the stroke or the brain injury or whatever it is that happened to them. So we just kind of want to come on here and just raise a little bit of awareness about what it is and what we do, because a lot of people we hear things like, oh, I've walked by the West End Co-op 1,000 times and never stopped in to look, never knew what it was. So we're just trying to get our name out there and just try to kind of resolve that issue.
Mhm. And thank y'all for having us. And Dean, I haven't seen you in a while, but I do recognize a few faces as well as you, Justine. So thank you for having us. We are beside Gather, right past the ball field at Floorfield. So we are here. We have some very nice jewelry that the patients have made. All the proceeds that come from their sales go right back into the co-op. And Christmas is coming up, birthdays, anniversaries, all kinds of good stuff. We are also on Etsy, but we would love for you to come by and see the space. So feel free, and Justine will have our contact information if you would like to reach out.
I think you're muted, Justine.
You're on mute, Justine.
Oh, rookie move. Rookie move. All this time. I did pop the website into the chat, and there's an email, the Weston Co-op at Gmail is in there. So yes, holiday gifts and beautiful. I bought my dad some thank you notes, and then he sent me a thank you note in the mail for the thank you notes. Beautiful things for a really good cause. And I think I was really impacted by you. I think you told me some stories, Holly, about people who had really helped them recover, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, by going and working and creating some art and being a part of that. So thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it just kind of shows people that, hey, just because, this happened to you doesn't mean you can't learn new skills and still be able to find meaningful activities and meaningful work that you can do after you whatever health incident occurred.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
I don't think we have a waltz person, unfortunately, but I just want to tell you for a moment about them. What I know, I'm not an expert, but they are a part of our partnership with South Carolina DHEC. We have an initiative that is a behavioral health collaborative group that will be continuing to meet next year. We've had, I think, 4 meetings already this year, and really this group has done some great work in determining what they want to focus on. These came out of a data walk series that we helped DHEC with. So the group has decided they'd like to focus on stigma. It's interwoven throughout every behavioral health issue. And then workforce pipeline and managed care payers, which I can't really get too deeper into. But Waltz is a wonderful organization. I'll put a link in the chat if you would like to get some more information. They work on suicide prevention, and they focus on education, equity, which is kind of built into that stigma, talking about behavioral health and suicide bringing it into the mainstream and making it so that it's not taboo anymore, that everyone can talk about it. And the goal is to help more people. So it's a really great organization. I'll put a link to it in the chat and pass it back. I think, Dean, do you want to have any more announcements you want to make?
Yeah, a couple things. One is about Waltz Waltz. Actually, my son Nate's school at Riverside, they were their homecoming organization a couple years ago, and Nate was especially interested and excited in the work that they do. And I think we all know that suicide and depression amongst our teenagers is such a big issue. So the work they're doing, came out of tragedy, but is really advancing an important topic. So we certainly appreciate them being part of the Behavioral Health Network. And then a couple of things we have as an organization going on in the next week or two. Next Wednesday, the 15th, is our Celebrating Successes annual event. Erica has put that up in the chat, the link to it. If you have not been before, it is fun, and I'll give you some real quick reasons why you should attend. One is it's a chance to engage or re-engage with people from all over the upstate region. We give away money. We have recipients of the Elevate Upstate grants are the finalists present, and then they're announced. So it's kind of cool to see community initiatives across the upstate being given funding to help them to build a greater vibrancy in our region. We have a mimosa bar. That's maybe all the reason we need for the event. We started when we moved this from a late afternoon reception to lunch and brunch about 6 or 7 years ago. We said, well, we want to have some fun opportunity there. And so how many times do you go to a lunchtime event and get a chance to have a beverage, a mimosa? So there's a good reason. And then of course the food is always good, and we're going to have some great food as part of the event again. And it's from 10:30 to 1 on the 15th. And if you are a TATT partner, which I know many of the folks on here are, your organization has tickets. So, if you haven't gotten that information, you can reach out to Justine and she can get you hooked up for your tickets. And if you're not a funding partner, it's only $20. So, we try to keep these things at a reasonable cost. And then our TATT chat coming up next month. Very excited. I saw Tim Todd on here earlier. I don't know if he's still on, but Tim is going to lead a conversation with some of our folks in the tourism industry here in the upstate to talk about where we are in tourism, because it really, this is a region that has really grown the tourism pot, whether it be related to sporting activities. Spartanburg is hosting the Division I cross country regionals this weekend, I saw, and other events like that happening all over the region throughout the year, sports tourism. And then of course, our downtowns and the vibrancy in our communities is making tourism really a growing industry here in South Carolina in the upstate. So we're excited that Tim and some of the CVB folks from across the region will lead our TATT chat in December. So with that, I'm done. David Field did come on late. He had a meeting, but he was able to get with us. And David, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks, Dean. I'm sorry that I was tardy today, but I really enjoyed all the commentary, and so thanks to Gail, Mikey, to the community updates, and of course you and Justine for running such a good program.
Great. Well, with that, Justine, we are 4 minutes ahead, so everybody gets 4 minutes back to their day. I hope you all have a great rest of the week, and if you can go to Spartanburg this weekend for the workshop, totally understand. We also happy Veterans Day to all our veterans, such an important holiday to recognize as well. So hope you all have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully next week at Celebrating Successes, and then on the TATT Chat on December 14th.